Hello, friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I am back once again to read from chapters 31, 32, and 33 of Dark World Light Work. Before I move on, I do want to read the last couple of paragraphs from the chapter that is called Have Not, because it sets up the scene for myself and my little dog in the car. So we left Lisa's house the following morning and headed for Mount Charleston. I stopped at a store where I bought a tent that was too small and some supplies. I also got some non-perishable food, what I thought would be enough for at least 3 or 4 days. We didn't even get a quarter of the way up the mountain before the car started to choke. There were many odds stacked against us. The condition of the car that was now our shelter was the biggest one. So that just sets the scene. The next chapter I'm going to read is Clementine, and this is just a little backstory on my beloved pup. We made our way into a kennel that housed smaller dogs. There was a lady standing near a window with 2 young children. She was holding the tiniest, cutest little black and brown dog. The little puppy was so small. The woman was cradling her entire body in one hand. I couldn't resist going up to pet the precious little thing. The woman asked if I was looking for a puppy. She said that she and her kids really wanted an older dog that was already trained. She told me that I should put my name on the list to be the next to hold the little angel. The woman was very sweet and quite insistent. She even promised not to put her down until we got back. I wanted to hold the puppy. I quickly ran outside to the reception table to plunk down my ID for a reservation. When we got back, the lady handed my little girl over. The woman's children had already fallen in love with an older yellow chihuahua who looked just like Candy. I sat down on the floor and held the little one in my lap. She immediately snuggled up and nestled her little head in the fold of my arm. For both me and my grandmother, it was love at first sight. The little dog was precious. She had a shiny black coat, a little caramel brown face, giant brown saucer eyes, and a very dainty little nose. Most of her toes were black, except for 3 on her back paws that matched her snow white undercoat. It looked like a dog existed somewhere in her lineage that was eager to make itself known with the delicate frosty touches. That's a little backstory on Clementine. Okay, and the next chapter is called Exodus. After we left Lisa's house, we spent most of the day prepping for and attempting a failed trip up to Mount Charleston. Once it was clear that my car would not make the climb up the mountains, I decided to head to the Joshua Tree Desert. My objective was to get out of the city and into nature where I could decompress for a minute. If I wanted to think about the next step, I had to clear my head. I'd been inundated by so much negative energy in the last days in my home that I knew that the first step would have to be to release that burden. The first night we slept in the car was at the Silverton Casino on the way out of town. I decided to rest there for the night, then head out to the Joshua Tree at the first light of day. I don't think that Clementine or I closed our eyes for more than 3 minutes the entire night. It was loud, noisy, scary, and nerve-wracking. I didn't know if the hotel had security drive around to check the parking lot. I didn't want anyone to look inside the car and see us sleeping. My windows were tinted, but a person could still easily see inside. This also meant that the lights from the casino, the streets, the signage, other cars, and more were all still very visible inside of the cabin. On top of all the stress, there was no way I could rest in that sort of environment. Clementine was anxious, but I could tell she was ready to lie down as well. I began to panic. I wanted her to rest. I wanted Clementine to be able to go inside and get some sleep even if I couldn't. The last thing I wanted was for her to suffer just because I'd fallen on hard times. It was a very tough position to be in. The little dog had been with me for years. She was 6 and she was my girl. I did not want her to suffer, but we were in it together. I saw no other way but to keep her with me. I knew that the love and attention that I would offer her would be more than most people would give their dogs in ordinary circumstances. I prayed that the whole misunderstanding would be resolved quickly and that we would make it back home. For now, we had to keep going. Okay, and now I'm back to read from the last chapter for today, and that is LBC. We took a walk around to scope things out. It was always a mission to find a place to sleep. I like to get a feel for an area for a while just to see what might happen throughout the day and night. Clementine was the perfect sidekick. I could be scoping out an area, but to a passerby, I was just a girl walking her dog. I was a responsible pet owner who just happened to be doing reconnaissance. No big deal. If people stayed far enough away, the 2 of us might even appear to be a work of art. Girl walking small dog on beach in watercolor. There were plenty of parking spots in the area. The most desirable ones were nestled in between 2 patches of green grass. They sat off the street and somewhat away from traffic. I knew that if I could score one of those spots, we might actually be able to rest that night. We walked back to the beach to pick up the car. I had to circle the park for about 20 minutes, but we finally found a spot. I planned for us to stay there until the next morning. The place was definitely sketchy. Plenty of homeless people were hanging out on the street and in the park. The bathrooms were constantly occupied by a parade of people doing everything from washing up to shooting up in the filthy stalls. One of the most degrading aspects of homeless living is the lack of private restroom facilities. It's vile and disgusting to be forced into contact with the excrement of strangers daily. Every time I had to relieve myself, I had to endure the sights, sounds, and smells of other people doing the same thing. On the off chance that I had a bathroom to myself, the lingering essence of others was ever present. Clem always hated going into the bathrooms. They were loud and dirty. The flushing of industrial toilets sent her heading for the exit every time. When she was in her backpack, I often hung her on the stall door to prevent her from flopping around as I wiped and pulled up my pants. My biggest challenge was keeping her from wandering into the stalls that were being occupied by someone else. Luckily, the few times she managed to break free, I heard squeals of excitement instead of horror. I always apologized profusely and hightailed it out of the place at lightning speed. All right, so that is Clementine, Exodus, and LBC. And the next chapters we are going to read from, I think I said the wrong numbers. It's 33, 34, and 35. And the next chapters we're going to be reading from are 36, 37, and 38. And those chapters are called Compton, Special Ops, and El Barrio. And El Barrio in question is Barrio Logan in San Diego, California. So we will see you next time.